Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're on a plane and we're living. Where's the pilot? Have y'all seen him? Oh, he's in the back, isn't he?
Yeah,
What's the pilot doing in the back?
We don't know. We don't know.
I'm Peggy Burton,
And I'm Jim Fuller.
and we're just amazed at all the wisdom that comes out of this group
And we are.
Before the
before the show.
we're wise before the show, and as soon as the camera comes on, we
go
turn
brain
stupid.
dead. Yeah.
Oh, Lordy.
I'll said 1,000 times some of the most interesting parts of the show occur before we go
Before
on.
we go on, yeah.
Before we go on the air.
Well,
My
you
nose
know,
itches.
you think about it. Think about all the stuff on all television shows, like the Today Show or Good Morning America, or what, all the conversations that those people have
Before they start.
before and in between during commercials and stuff. Because I'm sure there's a lot of discussion that they have that really they can't put on the air.
What?
Don't you think? Don't you think?
Yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I mean, there was one guy on the Today Show, so they were talking about this one lady reporter, and he said, yeah, she's a badass. And they looked at him and said, who? The FCC's or whoever's allowed to be listening to that. Al Roker said, you should have said she has a mean tushy. So,
Oh, goodness.
But things are eking out.
Things are eking
You know,
out,
more
yeah.
so. I mean, what was it? Dick Bionti got run off the radio for saying "but."
I think he did. Yeah, something. He was a good DJ too.
Oh yeah, back when we were coming up,
Yeah.
everybody listened to that show.
Well, you know, people can use good language skills. There's a lot of stuff
Yes.
that's not necessary to say to the world.
Oh, that's true. That's
You know.
true.
Right.
And it's terrible when you get caught up in colloquialism, I guess is what it is, and it just naturally comes out, you know,
Yeah.
and you're not meaning to be obnoxious, but
No.
It kinda gets that
and
way.
Of course, you know, that's one thing I like about Henry Cho and some of these guys that come to South Jackson. Henry Cho does a clean comedy act.
yes, he does. I'm
And he's
proud
the
for that.
funniest guy in the world, and he doesn't have to cuss to do it.
I love that.
And when Red Skelton was on the air, and
Same
people like
way,
that, same
yeah.
thing, absolutely brilliant, but didn't have to be vulgar to be entertaining.
Right.
And Jonathan Winters, good
Yeah,
grief.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and on
thought he
cable,
was the
on-
funniest man alive.
On cable TV, it's just common for people
To just say the worst thing that you can possibly imagine.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have
But-
cable TV, but
but,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So we're clean here, aren't we?
Wish
Pretty
I could bring,
much.
I wish I
Pretty
could bring
much.
back Robin Williams and Jonathan and
And
all the, you know.
who was the other one? The little guy who was on the Tonight Show all the time. That was just crazy
little
funny.
skinny guy.
No, he's a little fat guy.
Oh, Don
Don
Rickles.
Rickles.
Don
Oh my
Rickles,
God.
yeah.
And
He
of course,
offended.
he was on the edge.
I love him
Yeah.
because he offended everybody that he
Right,
talked about.
right.
Nobody was void of his
Oh, and
comments.
this day and time, he'd be, you know, you're not allowed to get on people like that now.
Right.
You know, you're liable to hurt somebody's feelings.
Unless, of course, you're in politics.
Oh, yeah,
Then
well, I mean,
everything,
Then they can just ride you
everything
to death,
goes.
yeah.
Everything goes.
They got to
yeah.
have skin like a rhinoceros.
That's right.
Right. Right. And
Thick skin. That's important.
it is, and you know, I went through that one
You
time.
went through it, I was
I
gonna
went
say,
through that
yeah.
one time, and you know, I tried to keep it in perspective. This is just what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to win.
Oh, sure.
People are spending a lot of money at this. When it's over, I wanted to be friends and was
Yeah.
with the guy I lost to.
Sure.
But my wife, that's been
She made
27
you
years.
mad.
Yeah.
She's still mad about
still
that.
upset.
Carries that grudge.
How
Yeah,
dare they?
right.
You have to let it go. You have to let it go.
Right.
Things that are bothering you have to let it go.
Right.
I guess this is the week before the 4th of July.
Yes, yes, it is.
I
We're going to have
know.
a big 4th of July celebration here in Tullahoma
And
next week, next
it's
middle of the week.
on the day, isn't
No,
it?
it's on the 3rd.
Oh, is it the 3rd? You're right.
It's on Tuesday the 3rd.
It's the big day.
Or Wednesday the 3rd. Which
Wednesday.
day? Wednesday's the
No,
3rd.
you're talking about the
No, the
fireworks
fourth.
show.
The
Fireworks
fourth-
show
the
is
fourth
on
is
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday,
So it'll be a week
it's the
from
night
today.
before, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I think they do that to where people on the 4th of July can celebrate at their house or on their boat or
and barbecue or
wherever
whatever they want
wanna
to do.
Right.
It's wonderful that they do such an amazing performance
Oh,
for the
it's
city,
incredible.
yeah, for the region.
It's incredible,
It
yeah,
is
what
incredible.
happens, and you know, everybody's bought into that now that it's come back, and it's at the. I don't know whether Winston's coming today or not. He might come. We tagged him to come over here, but you know, it's at the baseball park instead of at the football stadium, and it's all encompassed in there. Plenty of seats, plenty of room.
Lots of vendors, and I think they have a lot of local vendors.
Got
as
some ice
well
cold
as-
beer.
Got everything a man,
Everything,
a woman, or a child could want.
That's
I
right.
think.
That's right. Everything from ice cream, lollipops, popsicles to ice cold beer.
You know, we've come a long way, have we not? Because
have.
there was a time when you wouldn't be allowed to have beer on
Yeah, that's
in
true.
a place like
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
And
Well, you know, not only South Jackson or London's or Daddy Billy's or I mean, everybody is vying for the entertainment dollar.
right.
And if you're going to entertain people and that's what they want and you want to get a crowd there, you've got to
Right.
make a situation that they're going to enjoy themselves.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people don't go to shows sometimes because it's Friday night or Saturday night or Celebration Day and they want to drink their beer and they're not going to go if they can't.
Right.
So the city's smartened up about that and say, well, we're going to make it where everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's right.
And I haven't heard of any
No,
horrible
ain't nothing gonna
happenings
happen.
or.
Oh no, no.
That's like the 41A
I think if it
downtown.
stays
Right.
You know,
controlled, yeah,
everybody
it needs to stay
does
controlled.
does a good job with all of that.
Right.
So, hey, I want to tell y'all about something with the 4th of July coming up,
All right.
and I forgot to bring it. I'll bring it next week. But my wife, my lovely sweet wife, gave me a little book. It's like a magazine that Time magazine has done about 1776 and the founding of the nation. And it's about a 40-page, you know, but it's a magazine-sized book, and it's about all the people, the permanent, the prominent, sort of like the play we did, 1776, and the artwork in it is some of the greatest artwork. I mean, it's out of the National Archives, and it talks about the whole situation and takes you through that whole
And
story.
so it is real. It is history.
Oh yeah, and
It is not,
it's
yeah.
written by
Okay.
somebody current. And I mean, they even talk about HBO miniseries about John Adams, and you know, so it's stuff that's real and true, but it has a lot of beautiful artwork of the period,
Yeah.
of them all standing and all that. And the one thing that sticks out, and I'm just sort of getting into it. I'm through George Washington, but the one thing that sticks out more than anything else is how revered George Washington was.
He was a great man.
Yeah.
He was above the politicians. He was above the politics of it all, and that's why they put him where he was, because he cared more about the good of the people and the good of the nation than
Petty
either
politics,
side,
yeah.
the political side
He
of
was
it. Now-
phenomenal.
and John Adams wanted him to be called Your Majesty. He wanted him to take the president to have a title like a
Like in
king,
England, yeah.
and Washington refused to do that.
Right.
He said, no,
I'm just a man.
I'm just a man. Yeah, and how he was revered is just exceptional. What you read about him and some of the things he did and some of the controls that he took to make things happen in a proper manner, and go, no, guys. Y'all fight all you want to, but we're not doing this.
It's
Right.
pretty amazing how he lived through all the stuff he went through.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I think in the Revolution, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
People, they weren't trained for battle, to my knowledge, in the
No.
United States. I mean, here in our country, they just picked
did
up
it.
their rifles and
They just did it.
went out
and,
to protect what they believed in.
and of course, Washington was not a wealthy man. He married a wealthy woman.
Smart
He was
guy.
a smart man.
Smart man.
Smart guy.
Married a wealthy woman,
Right.
because she's the one who had Mount Vernon
Yeah.
and all of those properties and everything. And through his diligent work and his coming up through the military ranks,
Right. He,
set him up in a position to where a lady like that would respect and revere him enough to marry him.
yeah.
And so it's just an incredible book, and it's by Time Magazine. It's a little bitty book, and I don't know where Fran got it, but I'll find out, because if anybody's interested in that,
Well, we all need to be interested in our history
and there's a
why
section
we're
where
here at this
it
point in
talks
time.
about the Adams letters. It reads as a history. It reads chronologically, but there might be a page about Monticello.
Yeah.
And how
Have you ever been to
Jefferson?
Monticello?
No, I haven't.
It is fantastic. I mean, it's amazing to me what they could do. They had a plumbing system, and Thomas
Yeah.
Jefferson was a brilliant man.
But he didn't finish it. He never finished it.
But
Yeah, that thing wasn't finished until probably 30 years after he passed away. It was always in process, and when it finally got finished, it was about to self-destruct because it had just been left alone.
well, it's an amazing
And
place.
whoever, oh yeah, they finally finished it out.
The servants in his house lived in wonderful places. They were in the floor down below, and they had almost anything you could imagine. They were well taken care of. He was a wonderful man.
Yeah, but
He
what
messed around a bit.
You know what they did? What he didn't think was very important?
What?
Stairs. There's no grand staircase in that place.
Oh, really?
The stairs are very small and they're hidden in corners to the point, and very steep because you didn't want to use space for stairs.
Yeah.
And so ladies with hoop skirts and babies in their arms had a
couldn't
hard
get in.
time
Yeah.
getting upstairs.
Well, and servants could go up and down stairs and never be seen by
Right.
the people in the main house. It's a sight to see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's an incredible
There's
thing.
so much to see of our history, and people need to soak it in and take their kids.
Yes, because the fact that we even became a nation is just absurd. How all that happened, and I mean, it was just like it was willed to be, because it never should have worked. But they were so dogged. John Adams and some of these guys were so dogged to make this thing happen that it did work.
Well, I think they just understood there had to be some kind of organization that set them apart from Great Britain and whatever.
But they had no organization.
Well,
is the thing.
But they managed.
They went through another 5 years before there was ever any
sure.
organization. To
Do
the
we
whole
know for
thing.
sure that it works? Do you often hear it referred
Right.
to? You often hear it referred to as an experiment in democracy.
Yeah.
It's true.
So it's still going on
Today.
It's still going
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Today,
Well-
and I think sometimes we need to get past the petty politics of all of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Again, and make something happen.
Right.
Because every now and then it gets to where it's just, stagnates and nothing's going on. So we'll see how it all turns out. I know one thing we're going to see. We're going to see something from our sponsors, and we appreciate them being with us for 25 years. Go out and see them. Buy something from them. We'll be right back.
5 dealerships, 7 car brands, 1 big clearance sale.
Russell Barnett must make room for incoming summer shipments.
Save hundreds.
Even thousands.
From original list on all new and over 800 pre-owned vehicles. Every vehicle is marked down for immediate clearance.
No reasonable offer refused.
All credit applications will be accepted for immediate delivery.
Don't miss the big spring clearance sales event going on right now at the Russell Barnett dealerships, both Tullahoma and Winchester. And my question is, why buy anywhere else?
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is our segment we refer to as Police Pointers. And Joining us today from the Tullahoma Police Department, we're pleased to have with us Phil Henderson, who has been just telling me that he's been on the Tullahoma Police Force for 31 years.
31 years, yes, sir.
Unbelievable. How old were you when you started?
23.
23. Did you think it was fun then?
Yes, sir.
Do you still think it's fun?
Still think it's fun.
All right.
Enjoy coming to work every day.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's always something different, I imagine, when you're a police officer.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah.
We see different things every day.
Yeah, I'm quite sure. What about your wife? Is she comfortable with you doing this kind of thing? Because there could be, from time to time, situations that are a little bit scary.
Yes, sir. She's comfortable with it. She supports me in everything I do. She's just started a new job working out at the base, so she's kind of in the same business I'm in now.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Does she do security or
Yes,
something
sir.
out there? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, I'd say if you've done it for 31 years, you got to like it. You got to like
I do. I really love it.
Do you work days now primarily?
Yes, sir. I'm Monday through Friday now, 7:30 to 4:30. Work services division and write grants and IT stuff for the police department.
But you went through a phase, I believe, where you worked nights and stuff, didn't you?
Yes,
that
sir.
had to be different
Yes,
for
sir.
you.
I spent 30 years on the road. About 15 of those on the midnight shift.
Yeah.
And enjoyed that really well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so you now work more in administrative
Yes,
kind
sir.
of things.
I'm in administration now.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You've earned that, I have to say. Phil started with the police department about the time I started with the American Legion years and years ago, and so I'm proud to see he still enjoys doing that. I found that in the bar business, we had a bar there. If you folks don't remember, I didn't enjoy it as much when I got to be in my late 50s as I did when I was 25. But anyway, you come today, Phil, I think, to talk about something very relevant to this particular time, and it's 4th of July, and there's going to be fireworks. Probably some rules that go along with using those as well.
Yes, sir. City of Tullahoma has ordinances in place for the sale of fireworks and for the use of fireworks. And I think it was like 2004 we allowed fireworks back in. And now they're sold. They can be sold between June the 20th and July the 5th. And then December 21st through January 1st. Those are the only times that they're permitted to be sold inside the city limits of Tullahoma. As far as being able to shoot them, they can be shot from July 1st through July 4th. And then there is a 5-hour window on New Year's Eve where they can be shot from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then July 1st through the 3rd, they can be shot from 10 a.m. until 10:30. And then on July 4th, they can be shot from 10 a.m. until 11:30.
I see.
And any other time after that is illegal.
There's probably some sort of penalties if you're really causing
Yes,
a
sir.
problem with them.
If you get caught by the police department, breaking one of the ordinances, it's a $50, it could be up to a $50 fine and court cost depending on what the judge finds you. And each instance is a different charge. So if you got shot 3 times, you could technically be charged 3 times.
Right.
And each one of those could carry a $50 fine plus court costs.
Do you get a lot of calls relative to that during this period of time?
Yes, sir. We've already started getting them.
So some people have already started firing.
Yes, sir. With the fact that you can buy them on the 20th, but you can't start shooting them till the 1st. We had a call yesterday where there was a car going down the road and they were shooting bottle rockets and throwing fireworks out of the vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
Which is, illegal.
Right.
And we respond to each call that we get in reference to fireworks, whether it's in that window that they're legally allowed to shoot them. We still go by and check and make sure that they're not shooting them at people, make sure that they're not shooting them to where they're landing on people's property that don't want it to land there. That's one of the, the hard ones to enforce, because once you shoot it up, you don't know where it's going to land.
That's I hadn't actually thought about that, but you may be shooting them on your property, and then they may be landing on your neighbor's roof or something, So,
yes, sir.
So that's got to be a tough thing to try to enforce.
It is. It is really tough.
Yeah. So, is there some process where you see these vendors, and they usually set up in shopping centers or places like that? Is there some process where you get a license to be able to do that?
Yes, sir. They have to get a letter signed by the mayor, and then that is forwarded to the state fire marshal, and then they get a permit through them. They also get a permit through the city of Tullahoma. They have to carry insurance. They have to provide their own power, restrooms, that type of thing. They also have to be located with further than like 750 feet, I think, from the entrance to any occupied business.
Right. That's why you see them in the middle of a parking lot somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
And they can't be located within close proximity to each other. That's why you see them spread out all over town.
Yeah, because I've seen news reports about the major fires that occurred in huge facilities that actually sold fireworks all year long, I guess. But so it could be a hazard.
And they have to post, no open flames, no smoking, that type of thing. They cannot sell fireworks to anyone under the age of 16. They cannot sell fireworks to anyone that appears to be intoxicated.
Yeah, you probably need to have your good senses about you if you're going to be fooling with that kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And no shooting the fireworks within 200 feet of a place that sells fireworks.
Right.
And the fireworks that they sell here, there's different classes of fireworks. There's 1.3G and 1.4G. 1.3 is the consumer grade, and then 1.4 is the consumer grade. 1.3 is the like what you'll see out at the high school on the 3rd.
I see. And you probably need some sort of education to fire off the commercial kind.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Right.
and you have to be licensed through ATF and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Right. It seems like in the past we find people who, I guess the laws are different in the county perhaps, or they might be different if you live, for instance, in Tullahoma city limits, but you're in Franklin County and you hear people firing fireworks off. You hear them, you don't see them. They may actually be in Franklin County.
Yes, sir.
And not in the city limits of Tullahoma, where you guys wouldn't have any jurisdictions, or the laws may be different. So you may find that even though we just talked about when you have to quit, I think 10:30 on 4th of July, that you may still be hearing them, and they may not actually be in the city limits. I'm sure you run into that.
Yes, sir, we do. We still go out and check, and then if we find that it is coming from outside the city limits, we'll go back and explain to the caller, that it is outside of our jurisdiction, and there's,
Right.
We feel for them, but we can't make those people stop.
Yeah. But do you find that most people try to suck it up and be nice and understand it? This is the 4th of July, or do you get a lot of calls about that?
We actually get quite a number of calls.
Right.
Second shift and then the first part of third shift are really run back and forth on calls.
Not bad. And this is probably outside the area of our expertise to talk about this, but they're probably, you need to be aware of your pets during this time of the year, because you always see reports of dogs running, and cats, or dogs particularly, running off when all these fireworks are going on.
Yes, sir. I'm sure Teresa and them at Animal Control are very
they're here today.
Busy.
Oh, okay.
During that time, trying to help people relocate their animals.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, run down the times again, just for 4th of July.
4th of July is July 1st through the 3rd, 10 a.m. to 10:30. July 4th, 10 a.m. to 11:30.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Have fun, folks, but be safe out there. Phil, thank you so much for coming by today. Appreciate
you,
it.
sir.
Good information. Folks, we'll be right back in just a moment with more Leader.
The day the Lord created hope could be the same day he created spring.
Springtime's here. It's a good time to get our air conditioners checked out before those hot summer days get here. We've been here for a little over 35 years. It's been our pleasure to serve our community. We'd like to thank you for Tullahoma's finest, and from all of us to all of you.
Thank you!
Cool off at Southern Middle Tennessee's newest water park, Tullahoma's Splash Island. Fun for all ages. 3 25-foot water slides, lazy river, fun water features for toddlers, tasty food items available. All this and more, only $5 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 4 to 9 p.m. Sundays, 1 to 6. Join the fun at Tullahoma's Splash Island.
Smart Bank, Budweiser, and Miller Lite invite you to celebrate America's independence at Tullahoma's scenic Fraser McEwen Park, Tuesday, July 3rd. Gates open at 3 p.m. and world-class fireworks start at 9. This is a free event that has something for everyone. Tribute bands, a kids zone, petting zoo, food, fun, and games. Smart Bank, Budweiser, and Miller Lite invite everyone to Fraser McEwen Park, July 3rd for the Tullahoma Kiwanis Independence Day Regional Celebration. Don't miss the downtown after party at London's, too.
Russell's got your truck, man. Russell's got your truck.
Keith Barnett here at the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have sold so many new trucks. We've got over 100 pre-owned trucks to choose from. Any make, any size, any model. It's as easy as going to russellbarnett.com to check out our pre-owned truck inventory. And remember, why buy your next truck anywhere else?
With the best selection anywhere, Russell's got your truck, man.
Welcome back. We're all over Parks and Recreation today, and I'm so happy to have with me Lyle Russell. And you guys are getting ready for the big event.
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Got
yes,
all
ma'am.
plans?
I think we do.
Tuesday, 1 week from today.
Yes, Tuesday, July 3rd.
Well, let's tell everybody what's happening. You've got all the details, so
Sure.
carry on.
So this is the Regional Independence Day celebration. It's regional because it's not just Tullahoma. We
Right.
invite all the surrounding communities to participate.
Anywhere.
That's right. It's going to be a great show. The gates will open at 3.
And it's at a different place than it's been before.
No, it's still in the same place.
Oh, still
Fraser
in the
McEwen Park.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
there last year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at Fraser McEwen Park in Grider Stadium, right there behind the high school. And when the gates open at 3, we've got some really cool stuff that's going to be there. We've got a big petting zoo. Home Depot from Winchester is bringing up a bunch of the kids' wood kits to build wooden toys. We've got a bunch of kids' games. Remember the carnival game with the big sledgehammer and the thing that goes? Yeah, we'll have one of those. Yes, we've got one of those. We've got a bunch of other little carnival games and things to play.
So all ages can be entertained.
Oh, absolutely. We've got some great live music this year, too.
Do you want to tell who else?
Yeah. Starting at 3 o'clock when the gates open, we'll have Chase Clanton and Vintage Vibes.
Chase is fabulous.
Yeah, I've seen them once before. They're really good.
Fun.
After they're finished around 5 o'clock, we're going to have another band that was there last year called Vinyl Radio. They do 60s, 70s, 80s rock. They're really, really good. Yeah. And then after that, we'll have a band coming from Nashville called Six Wire. And there's a couple of...
play?
Similar, but one of the interesting things about them is that a lot of the guys that are in that group used to be Lee Greenwood's band. And so I'm sure we'll hear God Bless the USA.
Sure.
And they'll tell the story about how they helped with that. So I've not met them personally yet, but I've talked to them on the phone. It's a good bunch of guys, and they're really looking forward to coming and entertaining Tullahoma.
That's wonderful. And few people don't know where Fraser McEwen Park is. You want to give them a little description of the address?
Sure. It's right behind Tullahoma High School. That's right on 41A. And
41A.
Yep. And if you turn right down behind the high school, you'll see the baseball stadium.
You can't miss it, really.
Oh yeah, I can't miss it. The park is right there at the curve.
And there'll be lots going on.
Yes, there'll be cars, and you'll see all the stuff.
I'm sure vendors, all kind of foods.
Yes.
And all this is free to the public.
It is.
I know that you have baskets, and it's nice when people donate a little money.
Yeah.
Because it's a very expensive event.
Yeah, the Kiwanis Club collects donations for their causes as part of the event. And one of the other cool things we have this year too is we have a can jam and a cornhole tournament that the Tullahoma Sports Council is putting on.
And
So,
do people know what a cornhole tournament is?
well, I hope so. But can jam is relatively
yeah.
new. It's about a 5-gallon bucket-sized target, and you have a frisbee, and it's got a slot cut in the front.
Oh gosh,
and
you got to get a
idea is-
frisbee through the slot.
Right. But
That
you're-
is interesting.
Yeah. So they're going to
fun.
try that out, and there is a cash. Let me rephrase that. It's not cash; they will be paid in check, but there is a monetary
reward.
prize for the winner of each
Okay.
event. So.
Now, are both of those events you pay to enter the
Yes,
contest?
yes. Those contests, it's $20 per team. And there's 2
per
people
team.
on a team
So if
to
you-
enter that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and the fireworks show is we're estimating about 21 minutes, so it's going to be a lengthy show.
And when does the fireworks start?
We try to start right around 9:15,
Just when
weather
it
and
gets
light depending.
dark, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess people maybe need to bring chairs, lawn chairs.
Oh, yes, we highly encourage
blankets.
bringing lawn chairs
yeah.
and prepare for the weather.
Bring some money to buy some food.
Yes, bring some money. We'd love to see that. And we'll have lots of good food vendors out there, local folks too from around
And
town.
this is Tuesday, beginning at 3.
Tuesday, July 3rd, beginning at 3 p.m. and it will go
goes
on.
till the fireworks are done.
Well, and
after, because
yeah.
there's a band still playing.
Yes.
And you know, our time is up, but we have a group of kids singing "God Bless the USA."
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. He's tough enough to feed the man that gave him a lifetime of nourishment. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. That's right. No Employee of the Month bonus check here. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. Good luck finding a gym to train for that. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Is this the year you want to get fit? If so, check out just some of the things Tullahoma Parks and Rec has to offer. Kickboxing, aerobics, silver sneakers workouts, swim lessons, boot camp, water aerobics, basketball, Zumba, yoga, pickleball, lap swimming, treadmill, karate. Get fit, Tullahoma, and have some fun with Tullahoma Parks and Rec.
When your family suffers the loss of a loved one, the caring and compassionate staff at Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel are standing by to assist you in every way possible. We are proud to support local industry and offer only Batesville caskets. Many funeral homes don't own or operate a crematory. We utilize the only crematory in Coffee County. Your loved one never leaves Coffee County. We can accommodate any need and any budget. Consider our complete pre-need service to remove this burden from your family during their time of grief. Lock in today's low costs and protect from inflation. Tullahoma Funeral Home and Coffee County Funeral Chapel. Our family caring for your family.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman, sometimes known as Blinky.
And this is Pat Welch, sometimes known as Scratchy. And we're here for segment 87.
Well, let's explain ourselves.
We will.
I don't. Nobody said this. They've all been kind enough not to say anything about it, but sometimes I'll look and I'm listening to you and I'm over there just blinking my eyes and I guess I can't see good. I don't know.
And supposedly from our critics, which would be basically Mrs. Rickman and Mrs. Welch, that when I get a little bit nervous, I'm scratching the legs here. So we've now been
Blinky and Scratchy.
Have been hit as Blinky and Scratchy. But this is segment 87, and we can hardly wait to get after
I'm going to do a Hank Williams song. Died at age 29, had so many good songs. Today I passed you on the street, and my heart fell at your feet. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. Somebody else stood by your side, and he looked so satisfied. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. A picture from the past came slowly stealing as I brushed your arm and walked so close to you. Then suddenly I got that old time feeling. I can't help it if I'm still in love with you. No, I can't help it if I'm still in love with you.
John, that was excellent.
Wasn't he a writer?
He was incredible. And what if he hadn't passed away at 29? You think there'd been enough space for his son? Would he have let off Monday Night Football?
I don't know.
Those are crucial questions.
Hank Williams Jr. was out of a different mold a little bit. Of course, he had an accident one time that disfigured his face. He fell off a cliff, scarred himself up badly. That's why somebody said he's pushed. But he grew a beard and was he was different. He didn't want to do his daddy's song so much. He wanted to make his own mark.
And I remember
it was easier to do that with your father not being alive.
That's right. I'm standing in the presence of a mighty famous man. There was a song he sang one time. It's hard to stand in that shadow. And my kids knew it would be hard to stand in my shadow, so none of them picked up an instrument, ever played anything. It may have been because of embarrassment, I'm not sure. But we're going to talk about a fella, for any country boy who ever picked up an old hand-me-down guitar and dreamed of making it in Nashville. The script could not have been better written than that which was lived out in Grady Martin's life. I wrote that about Grady Martin one time because I got to interview him. His brother, Claude Martin, lived here in Tullahoma up on Heights Avenue. Is that what you said?
That's what was the rumor, but we haven't had a chance to.
No, I know the house. I'd been there before because he was a flea market man, and he was. I'd see him at the flea market. I said, and somewhere along the way, I learned he was from Chapel Hill. Then I learned he was Grady Martin's brother, and he lived up there. He was another one of the ones from the Great Migration from Marshall County to Tullahoma in pursuit of jobs. And of course, he moved. He died several years ago. And the other thing, I'm not sure how many people knew him or not. He was he was big in the flea market back that time. You know, he had a van and kept all kind of things in there, and but Grady was from Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And I know you say a lot of disparaging things about Chapel Hill. And
respectful, though.
Respectful. You made it in good humor.
Correct.
But
most of the time.
A few of the things that Grady, when he was a kid, went to a small school outside of Chapel Hill that they closed down and then consolidated at Forest. And he went to school there at Chapel Hill. After that, and
well, wait a minute, John, that's kind of interesting to me. How many schools did they shut down to send to Forest?
Well, I don't know, but there was Pottsville, there was Holt's Corner, there was several around that area. You know, they were small schools, and but anyway, in the 7th and 8th grade, he took piano lessons from a lady named Miss Mary Frances Reynolds at Forest, and she and he both saw he had a considerable gift in the music. And then when he was a sophomore in high school, you got to think about this. When he was a sophomore in high school, and he would have been about 16, 15, 16, there was a group of musicians who came and played for the school. You know, we didn't have academics all the time, Pat. Occasionally,
we like to delve into the fine arts over here ourselves, John. Yeah.
Well, a WLAC Radio Nashville brought several entertainers to Chapel Hill and put on a show. And after the show, Grady went back stage and met and played fiddle for Big Jim Best. And Big Jim was looking for a fiddle player, and Grady filled that bill. But Big Jim asked Mr. Nunley, who was principal of the high school there at that time. He said,
and father of Joe Nunley, who we've talked about
Father Joe
here.
Nunley, and he said, "I'd like to get permission to take Grady home and talk to his parents about going on the road with us." And so he did. Mr. Nunley allowed him to go, and he lived down near Laws Hill or near Farmington, down that way where Joe Orr came from. And Mr. Nunley allowed him to leave, and his mama cried, and his father was sad to lose a good milk can, but they consented. They consented to let Grady go on the road. Can you imagine letting your teenage son go on the road? Now it'd
be real difficult knowing that the cow had to still be milked without him laying there. Yeah.
The story's been passed down that when Grady left Forest, Mr. Nunley told him, "You're never going to amount to anything, boy." This story was popular because it dramatized how one could succeed without a high school diploma. I asked Grady about it, and he said it never happened. Mr. Nunley never said that to him. But in the following years, he played on the Opry. He was a backup musician. He began playing guitar and he played other instruments too. He was
John, how does he line up in age with you?
Grady would be, right now, if he were living, he'd be the same age as George Orr would be. And I don't know, that'd be early 80s, I guess.
Probably right.
Mid 80s. But he backed up singers such as Elvis Presley, Eddie Arnold, Patsy Cline, Jim Reeves, Bob Dylan, Jerry Lee Lewis, Brenda Lee. He was very versatile, unsung hero behind many hits and artists. And then he became this person who had a gift for hearing a song and could do something with it. And he was one of the originals when it came to the Nashville sound back at that time, the early 70s. And Don't Worry About Me, which was a Marty Robbins hit. And I asked him about that song, and he said a preamp, he called it a preamp, broke and caused a distortion of the PA system, and it came out and in the tune of Don't Worry About Me, it's this distorted picking, and he did it, and it made the song. You know, it's sort of an oddity. And then El Paso, Marty Robbins hit, he was one in the background doing the little Spanish guitar licks.
There's so many little small things that happen in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Like that man from the Opry being there and backstage, and he gets a break from that. Then a absolute mishap with electronics becomes part of the song. It's incredible.
Let's put up a picture of Marty. Grady. I'm sorry. There he is with a double neck guitar, and I assume I never played a double neck guitar. I've seen them and I've held them, I think, but I think that top one would be more of a tenor sound, and that other would be a neck for a regular. So he was, like I said, pretty versatile, and he also did the picking behind Pretty Woman. Roy Orbison. Satin Sheets by Jenny Pruitt. On the Road Again by Willie. He played, when I interviewed him, he was with Willie Nelson in Austin, Texas. And I asked him, what are you going to do in future years? He said, well, I'm going to retire at Laws Hill, back on the farm that close by. He had bought a farm, and when he retired, he came back and he lived out his days there at Laws Hill. He died in Lewisburg. I guess he was over at the hospital there. Help Me Make It Through the Night by Sammy Smith was another one. And let's see.
John, was it Jimi Hendrix that used to use his teeth on a guitar? That double neck would have been a real challenge for him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Don't know how Grady Martin would have done today. I don't know if he could break into the music today, but I bought this. My wife bought this album for me. Ray Price. John, you know all about Ray Price. John's got a song that was done by Ray Price, and
it's the last album that he had.
This was an album that my wife gave me for a birthday back in 1967, 68. But Danny Boy was a special song. I loved the way Ray Price did Danny Boy. It changed a lot of music. He changed a lot of music. And I didn't know till some later date. I looked on the back of this album, conducted by Grady Martin.
Wow.
The guy, you should hear the orchestration in here. Man, it is great. Now,
well, how many people from Forest have been on the Grand Ole Opry, John? I know you have once.
Well, Jimmy, Phil, and myself,
right.
And but that was a one-time shot.
You know, Phil was not from Chapel Hill, though.
Yeah,
technically, he would graduate from. So we can't. So we at least got three: Grady Martin, you, and your brother, Jimmy.
Well, Phil was from Forest. He graduated Forest. He was just younger.
Okay, well, his migration, he failed to get to Tullahoma. Then he went back to Lewisburg.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
We need to wind this up, but to show the last picture, Philip. I want you to know, and Pat, look at that last bit that I marked on this paper here. He has fond memories that when I interviewed him of Chapel Hill. He remembers slipping off from school with George Orr. From school.
And that picture, of course, this George, not real long before he passed away.
They went to see the movie Bataan, a war movie over there, and recalls a whipping he received from Mr. Nunley when he was caught smoking in the outhouse. And he made mention of schoolmates, Billy Osteen, who would be brother of Bobby Osteen, and Bubba Joyce, who here in George told about nearly getting a fight with Bubba one time. And Adeline Horton was another one he mentioned. She was the governor's daughter, Governor Horton's daughter.
And State Park, of course, Henry Horton being named after him. John, we're going to finish up. You mentioned Bubba Joyce, which I think is a relative of yours, whether you claim him or not, and George. And they were classmates and big buddies. They were, of course, on this excursion to the theater down in Lewisburg to watch Bataan. They got crossways one time, like a lot of guys in high school will. Of course, being crossways lasted about as long as the fight did. And Bubba told George, he said, "I'm going to whip you." And George thought about it a little bit, and he said, "Well, Bubba, that might happen." He said, "But I want you to know tomorrow morning you wake up, you're going to be sore."
That was a story George told us.
There's always
Wonderful
results
story.
or complications.
We remember George, and we remember Grady Martin today, and segment
87 is in the books, but it's not the end, John. We've got more stories to tell if management will allow us in here. Thank you all.
Talking his 3 clouds, this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
At the time, maybe you were just building a bridge, a business, or a community. Maybe you were simply working for a home or a better tomorrow. At the time, you served out of duty and love of country. But in that time, we see a legacy created, an American dream lived. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
There's no place like home.
Getting home safely is just a click away, and choosing the right seat for your little one's age and size will take you down the road to safer travels.
How can I ever thank you enough?
Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Harris. I've been providing communication services throughout the United States since 1985. But instead of me telling you about the services I provide, I'll let some of my clients speak for me.
This is Philip Barnett of the Russell Barnett Automotive family. We have 5 new car dealerships. Jerry Harris has handled our telephones for many years. Just recently, he came to us with a new program with Host My Calls. They not only saved us money, but the service is out of sight. I highly recommend Jerry and the Host My Calls team for any of your telephone needs.
Host My Calls is by far the best service I have ever placed with any of my clients. It provides cost-saving solutions while providing great communications. Call me today, 931-581-4411. See how Host My Calls can save you.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
All right, we're back right now, and I'm really excited to have Beth Hamilton Thames on the show with me today, and she is here representing the Arts Center, and she is one of the new, young, vibrant people who's exploded back into our community, went to school here as a high school student, went away, went to college, got married, got kids, and came back home, and is involved in the arts. Thank you so much for your service.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I enjoy it. This is my passion. Whenever my husband and I moved back here, I told him, I said, if the Art Center needs me, I'm going and volunteering. And he said, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what you went to school for. So I'm here, and I've been on the board for a little over a year now, and we're just moving along.
Plugging along.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about, I know things at the Art Center and all nonprofits, things change depending on income. Things change depending on board members and membership. But y'all are sort of having a revitalization over there right now. All of those things just sort of go up and down, and they never go away. We hope they never go away. One way to make sure they don't go away is for you to be a member. It's very inexpensive, or make a donation, which can be as big as you want it to be.
That's right. Nonprofits are always kind of, they're not always viable because it's dependent upon the community, and it's dependent upon people being involved and choosing to come and help make things happen. So our artists are always there. And the biggest thing is that they need support, and they need people to say, hey, we appreciate this, and we appreciate you, and we see you as something that's valuable in the community and in life in general, because art is something that everyone should be able to find appealing and should be able to support and see as something that we need. People need that, and in our culture and our society right now, I feel like it's more important than ever for us to be harboring creativity in people, because so much is kind of being desensitized because of all of our technology, and schools are even moving away from art. And
the money's going to the test. The money's not going to art and culture, and those things are being kind of put. Now, we're fortunate here in Tullahoma.
Oh, Tullahoma is amazing. It's a hub.
It is nowhere, folks. When I say what I'm saying here, you think, well, that's not true. It's not true in Tullahoma because we spend a lot of money.
And it makes it easy for us to forget how important it is for us to keep stoking that fire.
Right.
Because sometimes it kind of dies out a little bit, and we've got to be able to stoke it back up and show everybody, hey, we're here still.
Yeah, but the thing about it is we're different than you go drive in a 400-mile radius of Tullahoma and find a town with 16,000, 18,000 people. You won't see going on there what's going on here.
No.
In the school system and in our nonprofit cultural community.
I'm so proud to have children that are getting to enjoy this now.
Like we did.
Yeah, and getting to see, that the Art Center is something that's viable in the community. And my kids go to work with me a lot there. If they can be with me, I take them along, just because poor kids having to go with Mama to the Art Center, it's just
how
real
terrible
sad.
is that?
Right.
How terrible is that? And I always say, when the National Watercolor Society show comes here, it goes to 5 towns in the United States. One of them's Tullahoma.
We got asked, the Art Center actually was approached by the AWS, American Watercolor Society, to have another show next year. And next year was supposed to be one of our off years, but someone wasn't able to follow through with their commitment. And so they called us, and we said, okay. So we're going to get to have them in the spring again in 2019.
And it doesn't go to the Frisk.
That's right.
It doesn't go to Atlanta.
It comes to us.
It's in Tullahoma, Tennessee, folks. Some of the finest. I think they jury probably, several thousand pieces of work?
Oh, there's maybe even more than that, because it's broken up into separate shows, and we get a piece of it.
And usually we get 100 pieces or so comes here. This is the finest art in the United States of America. And busloads of people come from Atlanta and Nashville and North Carolina and come over to little old Tullahoma to the Regional Art Center here to see the National Watercolor Show.
That's something I always enjoy doing.
How incredible is that?
Yep, and getting to look through the guest list and where people have signed in and say, oh, wow, there are people from Oregon here today.
Right.
Wow, those people drove all the way from Louisiana. They're here for the weekend because they saw that we were having the AWS show, and they wanted to see what we have.
And guess what they do when they're here? They stay in a hotel, they buy gas, they eat.
Go out to eat, yep.
They entertain themselves. They shop here. So how important is that?
Yep.
Very, very important.
It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. So what are some of the things that your interest is bringing to light at the Art Center?
Well, whenever I first came on board last year, the biggest thing that I noticed was that there's so much history there at the Art Center, but it didn't really have a direction or a purpose. It all was just kind of in a pile. And I brought this book along as an example of how we have so much information that has been collected by people over the years. And one thing that I want to point out is that whenever you're archiving your own work for future generations, it's important to put labels, put what it is, put who that is, put the date, put everything that you think could be pertinent, because the biggest issue that I'm running into as the archivist at the center is that I have all this great information, but I don't know where it came from or what the date was or who it was. So I'm doing this show. I think this is really cool too. I wanted to show this. Arts Alive 85.
Yeah.
And we just had Arts Alive 2018, the insurgence or the resurgence
yeah, that's great.
of the craft fair. But anyways, for the historical exhibit that I'm doing this Sunday, the 1st of July, it's from 2 to 5. One thing that I am focusing on is getting a lot of this stuff out and displayed on the gallery walls so that people can come in and help me identify who these people are and what was going on. And it's going to look really cool too, because I'm planning on just filling up entire walls and having it there and trying to do it as in close to chronological order as I can, but then also giving people the option to write on a piece of paper and pin it up on the wall next to it so they can say, hey, this is John Gray in 1986 or whenever, and this is so and so. You can tell by his tube socks. And this is what we were doing. Because at the end of the day, the only way that I'm going to be able to figure this stuff out is by getting help from the community.
Yeah, that's right.
So the history stuff has been my main focus for this last year.
And we lose a lot of our elder community daily, and a lot of these people who can recognize and title some of this stuff. So
right.
Very smart thing to do. I want to ask you about this print over here too, because one of the things you're doing is you found some things, and this is a way that people can buy art and make money. You can make money, right?
Right. Well, the artist on this is Ann Smotherman. I'm sure a lot of people recognize that name. She was an art teacher at Motlow for many years and is incredibly talented. One of the things that Lucy Hollis, a former director, I'm sure a lot of people recognize that name too, she had started this program where they would sell prints, and I'm not exactly sure how she would go about it, but the things that I've found are, if you donate a certain amount of money, you can get a print, or if you want to pre-order prints, you can get them whenever they come in and they can be shipped and things like that. And it was a big service that she did. And so I've come across a few stacks of prints that are done by local artists, and they were meant, whenever the artists donated them to the center, they were meant to be sold. There's no reason why we should have stacks and stacks and stacks of the same print sitting around, not being distributed out into the community like they were intended to be. So this is one of many that I have of this. It's called the Shipman's, this right here is the Shipman's Valley map, but this, let's see, this is the authenticity. You get a whole explanation and authenticity, and what it is it has different landmarks in the area that she painted, and it's in color, which is even more valuable for a print, and most of them are numbered and all of them are signed. So I've kept the ones that with the lowest numbers for our archive there at the Art Center, and then the rest are up for sale. Yeah. And I have a couple stacks of Bill Work. He's also a local artist, and I also have a few stacks of Jim House work. And then there's a few other miscellaneous things, but these are the ones that I have stacks, literally, like this. I probably have a 3-inch stack of these. So if you want one, now's the time to come and get them, because we're ready.
Okay, so your show's this Sunday, your history show's this Sunday from 2 to 5?
2 to 5 at the Art Center in the gallery.
And are you around there a lot?
I'm there every week. Yes, I don't have specific hours.
But you're there.
All of the work that I do is, kind of behind the scenes.
Okay.
But I'm there. I'm in and out. In the school year, I teach the after-school program. It's something that I enacted for the small children that get out at 1 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Good for you.
They kind of have a little bit of a lull there and need somewhere to go. And there's a couple kids that are just amazing artists that come every week, and then I just kind of have a little bit of a flow.
Beth, thank you so much for coming.
Having me.
And thank you for being involved and breathing a new breath of life in something that's so important to our community.
Thank you.
You're doing great. Folks, we'll be back after these messages.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Jacob. I'm the Rooster.
And I'm the Red Mate. And we would like to welcome you to
Roosterware.
Yes, Roosterware is a cottage industry producing accessories for men, women, children, babies, and pets. All items are hand cut and sewn locally. Roosterware specializes in bow ties, pocket squares, scarves, cufflinks, neckties, and aprons of all sizes for all ages. Baby products include onesies, diaper covers, bibs, and burp pads. All bow ties, tie it yourself or pre-tied, come with an adjustable neckband. All products can be made with the material of your choice, as special orders are available upon request. Don't be standing back looking at fashion. Create your own with Roosterware.
Come visit us at
roosterandredmaiden.com
to find our handcrafted designs for
the cock of the walk.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. John Gray here with another edition of Melodies Wrapped Around Life, brought to you by It's a Matter of Music Publishing Company. We're very fortunate today to have a gentleman in the studio with us. His name is Steve West, and he is a Manchester boy who went off and has been successful in the music industry. And he's here today to give us a little bit of his backstory and what he's doing now. And we're just excited to have Steve here. Steve, thank you for being with us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
And like I said, you Manchester boy. When did you graduate from high school in Manchester?
I graduated in '73. Left town to go play baseball at Belmont College, then Belmont College,
right,
Belmont University
right.
now, and got started in record retail right after that, which led to concerts, doing concerts to promote our record stores. And then that led to starting Go West Presents and doing concerts on my own for 25 years.
25 years doing concerts. Who are some of the people that you promoted in concerts? Just to do a little name dropping out there.
Sarah McLachlan, Dave Matthews Band, Neville Brothers, the band. Gosh, there's all kinds of things. Ice-T. I did Public Enemy. I did all kinds of shows.
Right. And you ended up out of this owning several pieces of property in Nashville as venues.
Right. I started out doing my shows at the Cannery in Nashville. There were 2 rooms there. We could play shows either upstairs at the 300 capacity, downstairs at about 1,000. And I brought some interesting people like Lady Smith, Black Mambazas, that they'd never been to Nashville before. Iggy Pop and Jane's Addiction, alternative 90s guys will know those bands. And then I left the Cannery in 1990 to open up 328 Performance Hall, which was a 1,200 seat venue. And a few times we had more than 1,200 people
No,
in.
fire marshal let you get away with that.
A friend of mine said, make the money when you can.
Yeah, in the music business, that's a staple statement right there.
Especially when, as a promoter, you were at. For me, I was limited to how much money I could make.
Right.
But it was unlimited how much I could lose.
Oh, always, always.
And you mentioned Joe Sullivan earlier.
Yeah, Joe.
Joe Sullivan told me, we were on a panel one time together, and he said, when I got started in this business, I could make $100,000 on a $10,000 act. Now I can only make $10,000 on a $100,000.
Yeah, that's true.
Shows you how things turned around.
They did, and that was my next question. In dealing with Nashville and the music industry over the last 25 years or so, what are some of the drastic changes that you've seen in the whole music industry scene, but also in the scene, what's going on in Nashville?
It's Nashville today. Now, I have not been actively promoting concerts in Nashville for the past 15 years.
Right.
I will still produce some things, but to me the biggest difference is the number of venues. There's so many venues in town, so many clubs. When I was doing these shows in the 80s and 90s, there was 3 or 4 places, a band might go to. Now there's a whole lot more than
everywhere.
That. Yeah. And so, and when I sold 328 Performance Hall in 2000, I opened up another building, an office building that we renovated top to bottom, and that building is now the home of Grimey's Records and the basement, a 100-seat club in the basement.
Right.
And Grimey's Records is one of the top independent record stores in the country. They regularly featured in Rolling Stone, writing about vinyl sales, particularly.
And that's come back with a vengeance. Vinyl.
They're growing every year.
All these millennials and these young people want vinyl. It sells out before the other stuff does.
Yeah, it's amazing the numbers they're doing there. As a matter of fact, I'll give them a plug. This weekend is Record Store Day. There's going to be an outdoor concert behind the building there at Grimey's.
At Grimey's? Yeah, wonderful.
Basement. Yeah, a lot of good bands there. I don't know what the lineup is, but it's always a good day.
Well, I can remember when I was roaming around downtown or on Music Row a little bit more than I am now. You never could tell what Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what day you might be going down an alley and there's a tent set up and there's somebody playing music and somebody's promoting and pushing and showcasing somebody.
Right, exactly.
And I saw Carl Perkins in an alley down there one day and talking about riding blue suede shoes, and it's an education. You can get educated just roaming around down there.
He played 328 one time, and it was such a pleasure to meet him and talk to him. And right away, you felt like you'd known him all your life.
He's a genuinely nice man.
I liked him. I was so impressed with him, and I liked him so much. When he died, I went to his funeral down in Jackson, and was sitting there at the funeral, and Winona gets up and does a song for him, and then she says, "Well, George, you want to do a song?" George Harrison pops up and does a song, and George and Ringo were both there at that funeral.
Yeah, that's great.
That was kind of neat to see those guys.
I guess my next question is you've come back to Manchester over the past couple of years. I mean, I'm sure you've visited from time to time, but there's a church downtown, the old Methodist Church. And
Church of Christ.
No, excuse me, Church of Christ, and that you purchased.
Right.
And have remodeled and using your entrepreneurial spirit and owning buildings and knowing how this functions and how to deal with this. How about giving us a little bit of the story on that? Steve has brought some videos, some pictures where we can see before and after pictures. And I also went over there a couple of weeks ago and videoed what's there now.
Right.
And so why don't we go through that a little bit and let you explain to our audience what you're doing there and what you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
And we'll look at the transformation of that building, because it's beautiful, folks, what you're getting ready to see.
The building at the time when I looked at it was in September of 15, I believe, and it was being used mostly for storage. And it was sort of divided up in some strange ways. So it involved a lot of a lot of demo work.
Tell us what this is.
All right, this is a before picture. This was oddly enough in the entryway of the building. Over the years, it was last a church in '61. So over the years, a lot of people did some strange things.
Right.
And I found this bathroom at the entranceway of the
and that's under the bell tower.
It's right next to the bell tower. Now that's what it looks like now. So it's changed quite a bit.
Changed a bit. They had that door completely blocked off, right?
The door was blocked off. That's right.
And
yes.
a commode sitting there.
And a commode sitting there. Yeah. And no ceiling.
Okay, what's next? Now,
all right. There was a panel wall that covered the entire east side of the sanctuary, and then another wall that went right up in the middle of the room. And they had, before they covered it though, they spray painted or painted the etched glass of the stained glass windows, and those had been covered up for at least 30 years. I don't know exactly how long, but yeah, that's what it looks like now.
Isn't that something?
I found a really pretty light fixture above the drop ceiling in that area.
Yeah, you could see that on the picture before. You could see that hanging up there. But it was just covered up.
It was covered up, and I found it.
There you go. Now, that's where the wall was built, right through the center of the sanctuary.
Right. And you can see there the red carpet and the other carpet that had been there for many years. There was quite a bit of water damage in that corner because it was covered up, and they didn't realize the water was coming in.
Right.
And which that also led to termite damage.
And look at it now.
It's a beautiful place.
And that floor was under all of that mess.
Yes, it was under the carpet, and I couldn't wait to get rid of that carpet. I hated that musty smell, you know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't smell like an old building now.
And now all right, here's some more. While we're looking at, go ahead, Philip. Just keep rolling.
All right. That we tried. Actually, I reclaimed a bunch of lumber. I would pull those nails, reuse stuff everywhere I could, trying to cut corners. And so this is where I did that. But this room now has turned, that we call this the library side. And we've got what we call the white room. This is the white room.
And so that's where, when people are, because you do rent this out for weddings, for parties, for
receptions, luncheons, all kinds of stuff.
So that's a food prep or a food area. There.
Typically the people are set up buffets over on that side, and then go back into the main room to sit down to eat. This is a view from the back towards the front. We built this bar there, and I don't know if you caught the stained glass windows that were in there, but they had been covered up. On this library side, the stained glass windows had been covered up since 1962, and I uncovered those in March of last year, I think.
That's great.
This is the backstage area, and what you're looking at there, that brick is the original northwest corner of the church. Originally, the church was just a one-room sanctuary, and that's the back door. They did an addition to it in 1951, you know, with all the kids coming on and needing to expand their families and everything. So they built a horseshoe around that and an L-shaped basement down below.
And the last time I was in there, that floor right there couldn't even be distinguished as wood. It was so nasty.
Yeah, we hired some people that did a good job on that floor. This, I believe, was at one time the minister's office, and at another time it was Judge Vance Lowry's office, and now it's one of the dressing rooms, and it cleaned up real nice.
Isn't that great? So if someone comes there and they're having a wedding reception or a party, they have a bride's place and a groom's place.
I've got two rooms set up in white for the brides, and the groom's rooms aren't as nice as
of course not. They don't have to be. We don't care that much.
This is what it looked like on the side where my office is now. There was drop ceiling, again, covering up the old windows, and more paneling. There must have been a sale on paneling at some time, because paneling was everywhere in that building.
There's always a sale on paneling.
That's my office now.
Yeah, so isn't that beautiful? And tell us about that table. That's a very unique table.
All right. Well, that table, I got that in 1990. I found it at a used school and office furniture place. That's an old Vanderbilt Law School library table.
I'd never seen a table quite like that till I walked in there.
Here's the crazy thing. Sue Banks there in Manchester took me over. I was to show me her space about a half block away. Up the top of the stairs, she's got one of those tables.
Are you kidding me?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
And a little bit about some of the pictures around the wall.
Oh, the photos on the left side, that's I produced the Nashville Music Awards for the 5 years that was going on in the mid-90s to the 2000. And the piece in the middle is Flatt and Scruggs by this folk artist, Lamar Sorrento. And I love that because when I was a kid, probably when you were a kid,
we watched them every Saturday morning.
Night. Well, I watched them Saturday night.
Whenever they were on, I don't remember.
Right.
Morning was, well, there was no morning TV.
Well, it's cartoons. But, you had Flatt and Scruggs, the Wilburn Brothers, and Porter Wagoner Show with Dolly Parton and Norma Jean.
You're exactly correct.
And then over on the right, that's some of my old concert posters,
Very good.
Los Lobos and Suzanne Vega and Lucinda Williams.
Lucinda Williams. She was in here one day.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I'll tell you about that. It's a strange deal. What I know you are doing the weddings and receptions and now what about music there? You're working on a band of your own right now, aren't you, a little bit?
I've been playing in bands. I sort of rediscovered that around 2000, and when I sold 328 Performance Hall, I wanted to do some writing, and that led to me playing more, and then I hooked up with some other people. And the first band I was in was Zigzag, and we were together for about 5 or 6 years, and then we morphed into Zigzag Mojo. We added Jonelle Mosser.
Love Jonelle.
Who's a great singer. And so that was Zigzag Mojo. But a couple of us wanted to do some a little more blues and R&B stuff. So we hooked up with some amazing musicians, and we now have a band called The Solution.
That's a great name.
And it's Solution. Solution.
Right.
So we've got one of the best guitar players in Nashville and one of the best lead singers, female vocalists. They're both amazing. The toughest thing for us booking shows is their availability because they're so in demand.
Right.
But we're going to be right here, in Manchester next Friday night. And money back guarantee. If you don't like us, you can leave.
So that's going to be and let's get this out there again. The name of your venue, your event center,
is the Church at 117.
The Church at 117, and he's in the process of having signage designed and ready to put signage on it.
Right.
But for those who don't know, that is 117
East Fort Street.
Right. So you go to the back of the square, and you're on the right-hand side of the courthouse. You go right past the right-hand side of the courthouse. You get to the the corner there, take a right, and it's right next to the old post office.
Exactly. Right.
So, and you're going to be there with your band next Friday night.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock till?
We'll be doing 2 pretty long sets.
Okay. All right. And what's the tally on that?
$10. $10 admission.
What a deal! And you've got some great Nashville players coming in.
Right.
And how wonderful is that?
That's great.
Hometown, man.
And we're using
hometown.
We're also using it to promote the Church at 117 Book Exchange over in the old
the library.
And when I was a kid, the Manchester Coffee County Library was there on the west side of the building. And so I found some of the old library shelves, and I put them up at the front and brought in most of my books from my collection. And we're going to start swapping books with people.
That's
to encourage
wonderful.
People reading. More people
That's
to
wonderful.
Read. Yeah.
Steve West.
Yeah.
Welcome home, my friend.
All right, it's great.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and we will continue to promote whatever you're doing. Know that you're always welcome.
I appreciate that.
To come over here and spend some time with us, and it's great to have someone with your abilities and your career in the industry that you're in to share information and knowledge with all of us around here to help make our small towns vibrant and full of wonderful, fun things to do.
Well, Manchester's a wonderful place, as is Tullahoma. And I'm happy to be there. There's this great energy downtown, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
All right, Steve West. Folks, we'll be back next time.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.